going to officially start in child pose. Hi, good morning, and good to see you. For those of you practicing live, and then those that will practice this later on the recorded version. So if you could set up and fold into child pose. We're going to start slowly, actually, up at hands and knees. So start up here first and start to tuck your tail under, pull your navel up toward your spine, and press the floor away so you stretch your upper back toward the ceiling, sky, and eventually even tuck your chin in. Keeping your whole spine in flexion like that, take your big toes together and pull back as slowly as you can as you engage the front of your body shorter, stretching the back of your body. Pull back. Keep finding areas in your back that you can stretch by pulling the front of your body up. Press the floor away. Reach into your back ribs toward your hips, pelvis down. Back up to all fours, hands under shoulders, knees under hips. And please sit back on the block or the blankets in Virasana or Vajrasana. That's going to be your feet together and you sit on them, or you sit between a block. So this is Vajrasana, or Virasana is your feet alongside your hips. So today's class we will stretch, strengthen, twist, and laterally bend your spine. So all those 4 spine movements. And from there, I hope to create a sense of stability in your center, not only physically, but mentally and spiritually, so emotionally. So let's take our hands together, please, and place your base of your thumbs into the center of your chest, the symbolic region of your heart. Together, let's offer the sound of Om 3 times. Inhale. Please fold your forehead. Close your eyes. We offer that this yoga practice not only strengthens our own center, our individual experience of our center, recenters us, reconnects us to that sense of bigger energy that is essentially said to be deep and centralized within us as offered through the yoga traditions. May this practice connect us to that which can be called universal energy, light, love, and may the wisdom and energy and all the inspiration from that support which we connect into expand us individually and re-offer back from ourselves back out into the world, So may this practice not only benefit ourselves, but all beings. Release your hands and come back up to hands and knees, please, all fours. And another child pose, repeating. So from your pelvis, reach your tail under, so you stretch your back. As that happens, strengthen your abdominal region and pull it up toward your back. Keeping that, take your big toes together, keep stretching up your back by strengthening up your front. And press the floor away as you flex your whole spine. And come back up to all fours position, please. Now let's prepare for an arm balance called crow pose, but we will just do the preparations toward it, not as a requirement to actually perform that yoga pose. And we'll enjoy the strength that gives our core and stretches our back as we get ready for crow, whether we actually do it or not. So lie down on your back, and we'll make the upside down crow. So take your big toes together, and the inner edge of your feet together, separate your knees. Please climb your arms up between your legs, sort of almost between your shins as you lift your chest up. Try to lift your seat up. That's it, squeeze your legs onto your arms and pick up your spine around your strong front. So engage your navel back toward your spine. Hold the region between your pubic bone and chest shorter. Lie back down, stretch your arms out to your sides like this, like goal pose. Stretch your legs out. Take a nice breath into your belly, inhale. Exhale. And back up again, so one more of those. Take your inner edge of your feet together, separate your knees, and climb up. See if you can take your hands behind your head this time. So you use specifically your top area of your abdominals, your low ribs, down to your navel. Picking up your chest without necessarily leading with your neck. So in fact, your hands behind your head, look back a little bit and identify more strength there in your upper belly. And arms between your legs, pull your tail up, pull your chest up, squeeze your legs on your arms, get strong in your front, and stretching out your back. That's it. Press your shins onto your arms. Good, and relax that down, breathe. That one is not a big breathing muscle, so take your breaths here in your belly. Exhale. Inhale, bring your knees to your chest, and this time just sort of for fun and to increase that same alignment, same body position. Roll back and forth on your spine using your front body short. Eventually, maybe roll up to a squat like that, or make your way up there. And try one more time, back and up. And then please take your heels of your feet on a blanket, heels of your feet, which are, that's your heels, that's what I meant to say. And so you have a little support for your calves. Some of you will like this. If you don't need the heels on the blanket, don't worry about it. So you take your same position like this, like we did lying down. I'm going to show you from the front. So you have that and your arms between your legs. Squeeze your legs onto your arms like this. Push them on really strongly. That's it. And keep pushing. Now dive in. So you're almost trying to tuck your head inside your feet as you pull your navel to spine. Pull your back body. That's it. Stretch down the back of your body strongly. Okay, please sit on the blanket, and if you have another one nearby, take another blanket so you have another height. Take the soles of your feet together and separate your knees. Baddha Konasana. We're going to take this one right into the forward fold version. Sometimes we normally teach it up here first, but we're going to go right into flexing your spine. So it will look like this from the side. You go feet together and then tuck your belly in, broaden your shoulders away from your spine, and start to pull your knees apart, pull your navel to spine, pull your chest up, and fold in. You may like to take your elbows onto your inner thighs to help pull them apart. And dive in. And for me, I'm up on high enough blankets where I'm going to fall off the blankets if I take my hands to my feet. So I'm going to take my hands out here. And use your strong front body to stretch your back. Good. Come back up. And now let's actually take a try on crow pose or crane. So you can start with your heels on that blanket again. And actually, let's take the heels on the blocks as a little, just to get right into it. It's a shorter class, so we'll move the blanket out under your head as a safety measure. And make sure your hands are on the floor so you're safe. And then step your feet on the blocks, please. That's it. Now if you could please, that's it, come down in a squat. So make sure when you're stepping on the blocks, careful, so your hands on the floor, now separate your knees and create the same thing we did earlier, except you're not really doing anything with your arms yet. You're just going to stretch your back. Tuck under your tail, navel to spine, more squeeze like you're pulling up over a bar. And this whole action is the primary action in crane crow, this whole stretch, so your back under. And then you can add on the challenge of clamping your legs onto your arms, which is kind of secondary. Some people think it's all about the arms. It's really about the back. It's in my experience. So when you get your arms going, there is some detail. You have to press your inner hands down and get your legs, your arms far enough inside your knees that you can clamp your legs on. So they're sticking on. That's the way I like to do it. The legs on the outside of the arms. Some people, if you do it so your knees are kind of inside your underarms, on the back of your arms, that's cool too. I can't do it that way. I haven't really practiced it that much. Haven't practiced it that much that way, where my knees are in my underarms. It is very, it's taught both ways. So either way, I'm going to teach it today the way I normally do it. So your knees outside your arms, squeeze your legs onto your arms, and then lean a little forward as you keep that serious drive with your legs really pressing strongly onto your arms, and then lift up one foot, squeeze in your leg, and pull your back into that same stretch. And come back down. And lean forward. Go do the other foot. Lift your other foot up. Squeeze the leg on and strengthen your front. Stretch your back, tail under. Back down. And go one more time the other side. So lean forward. One foot. Keep that foot up. And then lift the other foot up. That's it, that's it, that's it. Up. Pull in, pull in, pull in. And then some of you can come back down and try, if you got your both legs up there, pointed, you could try to straighten your arms. It's another part of it. And back down. And then step off. There you go. So you can step off the blocks. Now turn around. When you step off them, just waddle around kind of in your squat. And then hold the blocks with your hands and make them one level higher, like a medium level. Lay your belly down on your thighs and start to tuck under your back again, navel to spine, making your back into like the child pose spine with your head down and your knees a little bent. And then start to straighten your legs a little more. And your belly can lift up a little more away from your spine as you keep releasing your head now. This is moving toward Uttanasana. Knees a little bent. Keep your strength in your front and your stretch in your back. And now we're going to come up to neutral spine, make the blocks higher, and organize toward Ardha Uttanasana. So your arms are under your shoulders, sitting bones up, low back in. Neutral spine is almost like this. This is concave spine. So neutral will be a little more rounded in your upper back and a little more arched in your low back, or concave. Concave low back, rounded upper back. Pretty much. The neck is almost like the low back. It's concave. But we don't want it over concave. You don't want to lift your chin too much. So we'll think about that too. Hands on your hips. Stand up. Concave low back. Good. And release your hands to your sides. Tadasana. Tadasana is the template or the normal neutral spine, essentially. So mountain pose is neutral spine. So your hip points forward will make your pelvis tilt forward and generally make your low back form into neutral. That's it. There you go. That's it. Now lift your, we're going to make eagle pose just with your arms, not with your legs. So stretch your arms apart. Wrap your left arm under your right. And this exaggerates the neutral spine in your upper back. See that? It helps stretch it out to more convex. Keep the strength in your legs. Hold your low back in. And to maintain the neutrality in your spine, engage your core across your hip points in. Your top hip points squeeze into the center. Release your hands. Yeah, now take your arms up. Switch the arm to the other one underneath. Now your right arm underneath. Draw your sternum back, stretch your shoulder blades away from your spine, and let your upper back stretch. Keeping your low back more in neutral, in curved in, concave. Your upper back rounds out, convex. As you stretch your upper back, you could imagine you're connecting with a source of energy and support behind you that we open up today to continue to guide us and inspire us. Release your hands. Of course, that wisdom is right inside ourselves, but the yoga traditions are so beautiful, and they remind us that we can almost feel like we open up to that wisdom and love from all around us. And it's a big component of all the yoga practices, opening. In fact, open your palms, reach your arms out to your sides. Take a nice inhale into your belly, up through your heart. And exhale as you take your hands down. Allow the rising, the inner rising, imagined yet felt from your belly up through your skull. And we'll do that again with the arms up overhead. Inhale here into your belly, legs. And when you exhale, pull your hands down as if you're experiencing a rising light from in your pelvis up through your heart into your skull. And that's a vertical opening. So classic to the yoga. So again, one more time, inhale as you open your arms over your head, breathe into your belly, your legs, receiving energy down into your body. And on the exhale, that renewed light surges from your waist up through the front of your heart center and into your skull. Now let's take the body into some twists. So we'll start with a standing Marichyasana. That's what I tend to call it. It's kind of standing wall twist. And then we'll move that to the floor. So I'm going to do this, recommend you guys use it at the wall, but I'm going to show away from the wall. So this side was the wall. I would have this leg here and the opposite hand here, and then I push the wall. So take let's all take your left leg adjacent to the wall. So you're pretty close to it. Tadasana, mountain pose. And I would say you're about 4 inches from the wall. Lift your left leg up so your knee stays right over your hip, and your foot, you imagine your foot's pushing on something. Organize your spine neutral. Now take your right hand to the outside of your left knee and take your left hand to the wall. Lift your low back in, tone your core, and turn your chest to the wall. Twist your right side around to face the wall. Good. Release that left leg. Tadasana, mountain pose, neutral spine. Turn around to the other side. So your right leg is adjacent to the wall. Lift up your right leg. And your left hand goes to the outside of your right knee. Rise up. Right hand to the wall. Use the wall to help you twist. Strong, neutral, long spine. And rotate around that length. Turn back to the front. Release your right leg down. Great. Now let's take support either 2 blocks or the chair for Parivrtta Ardha Chandrasana. So this adds a little more on, of course. So your hands on the chair. I'm going to show the chair. Just put that over my blanket. You can use 2 blocks. So I'm going to have you guys, you all please lift up, I'll do the opposite of you. So please lift up your right leg, turn it in, and push through that inner edge of your right foot. So your back leg spins in, your hips are level to the floor. Now keep your right hand there, or you may like to put your right forearm down, hips level to the floor, and your left arm can start to go up as long as your left shoulder blade connects into your back. Turn from right to left, turn your belly, turn your chest. As if you still had the wall there like we did in the last one. Press your outer left hip down. Reach your right inner thigh up and turn around your strong, long spine. Both hands down to the chair and take your back foot down. Lift your chest and stand up. Other side now, so hands down to the chair. Lift your left leg up. I like to bend knees a bit to spin my left thigh in and reach back through it. You're going to be feeling the back of your left seat, your back of your legs. Now keep your left hand there on the corner, or take your forearm down. Right hand can start on your hips. Lengthen your belly, chest long, and turn from left to right. Right arm up like you had the wall. Hips level as much as you can. Turn your side. Great. That's great. Turn. Right shoulder back. Rotate. Good. Turn back to face the chair and step your back foot down. Stand up. Super. Let's take 2 more twists. So take your body down to the floor to Parivrtta Padmasana. So this is the lunge twist. So hands and knees. Take your right foot forward. I'm doing the opposite of you, so just keep that in mind. Lift your back leg up, your left leg. Hands on your right knee. Organize your spine. Now your spine leans a little more toward whole spine concave. So your low back in, you're still strengthening your core across your waist without losing that arch. Now turn without hands, turn toward your right knee. Squeeze your feet together, lift your chest, turn and twist across the length of your strong spine. Good, turn back to face the floor, and hands and knees, or you might like to take downward dog here. And now your left foot forward. So lift up your back leg, squeeze your feet together, arms out to sides, and rotate around the length of your spine. Feet squeeze in, turn from right to left. Turn back to face the front. Now I'll take hands and knees here. From here, set up the blankets again, more of a flat situation like this, so it's about the size of a bolster. And please sit on the blankets with your feet on the floor. This time I'm going to do the same side as you because I'm kind of facing this way. So take your left leg straight out in front, lean forward so you keep the low back in and your right hand behind you. Right knee goes across and lift your left arm. Slide your left leg a little forward, left arm up, and take your left elbow across your right knee. Press your knee into your arm, arm onto knee. That's it, rise up. And then turn. Rise up, turn, anchor your outer right hip down as you rise up through your spine. Super beautiful. Rotating, use the press of your right hand away and use that left arm onto your right thigh to help you leverage more twists from your left to your right. Breathe up your left side, broaden it, and rotate around. Super. Turn back to the front. Switch sides. So you guys just stay there and switch. I'm going to turn back this way. So bend your left knee. And your right leg is straight out in front. Take the left hand back behind you. Lift your right arm, please. Exhale, right elbow across your left knee. Press leg and arm together. Lift your chest. Turn, broaden your right side and rotate around. Broaden and rotate. Broaden, breathe up your right side and turn. Lift through the top of your head and take a nice breath up your side. Turn back to front. Both legs out in front, please. Good. Now take your hands back behind you, a little more toward neutral spine, low back in. Dandasana. Now sitting on the blankets, we're going to move to another twist that includes a little lateral, so your legs out wide. One of our favorites. This is called Upavista Konasana, but the side version, so Parsva Upavista Konasana. Bend your knees a little bit, make your feet straight up and down, squeeze your feet toward the center. So some of you don't need your knees bent too much if you can keep the curve in your low back in. So I have my knees bent to turn my groins in, my sitting bones back. Hands back behind you on the blankets, lift your chest. Now turn over toward your left leg and take your left hand out there on the floor, lift your right arm. Twist over your left leg, keeping your right sitting bone back, broaden your right side, and rise up through your chest. So you're up here, and then you take this twist out over your left leg. Lift your chest. It's almost like the last pose, but you're lengthened up and twisted, and then that whole situation of your spine long and twisted is coming out a little more over your front leg. So you can start to add on, turning your right chest toward your left foot. You can start to add on a little more hinge in your hips. Lift your sitting bones, lift your chest. Reach your right sitting bone away and pull the shin away with your right hand. Pull your left shin away, push the floor away with your left hand. come back up. And then rise up through the sides, reach your left sitting bone away, turn and rotate toward your right leg, left arm up, twist from left to right, and your left sitting bone can be off the floor, but keep reaching it back. Left hand on the outside of your right shin, lift your chest. Press the floor away with your right hand and pull your shin away with your left as you turn your chest toward your right foot. So you're still uplifted, not more than 45-degree angle. Going for concave low back and a little attempt to keep some neutral upper back without overly arching or back bending your heart, your chest. That's it. Now come back to the front and hands back behind you. Lift your chest here a little more toward back bend, a little more toward concave upper back. Take your hands to the side of your knees and then kick your legs out in front. Dandasana, staff pose. Now let's start to make your spine bend to the side. We'll take a few poses that way, and then we'll have some back bending. So your feet out to the side. So we'll take the side version of this one. And we're going to put some of the twists, side bending, and back bending all together in a cool pose coming up. So let's go to your left leg again. So your left arm on the inside, press your left arm on the inner knee, lean back to your right. This time keep your right sitting bone down. Very deep side bend. First one of the day. Anchor your right sitting bone and start to turn. In side bending, your spine naturally rotates or twists. So you get to add on the twist here the other direction, upward. So turn from your right belly to your left chest. Try to turn. You can use your hand to help you turn. Your left hand on your right waist, or vice versa. Right hand on your left waist. And even take your right hand behind your head. Lean your skull back into your hand. And then start to turn from your left ear. Lean your skull back into your hand and turn your left ear. Lengthen from your hips out through the top of your head. Now rotate your left belly up and stretching, of course, your right side. Slowly come up. Yeah. Everybody feel that in the side? Okay, let's take the other side. So your right elbow on the inside. And keep your left seat down as you use your left hand to turn your right waist up. Take your left hand behind your head and lean your skull back in your hand. So you take your throat back. You're making your neck more neutral. So there's a little tip up through the back of the top of your ears back. And then as you lean your skull back, you can start to rotate your neck, which is the most rotatable, is that a word? It has the most rotational component in your spine, most ability to rotate. Anchor your left seat. Keep your spine neutral as much as you can in its length, and then twist it and side bend it. Enjoy that big stretch. It feels pretty deep, I think, for a lot of us in the side. Slowly come back up. All right. Take your legs, hands on the outside of your legs. Take your legs back in. We're going to go back up to standing now to put some of those together. And first one will be chair pose. So we're going to move toward back strengthening and add in maybe a twisted chair and an arm balance twisted situation. So we'll see what we can create. So sit back, your hips back, and make chair pose. So your hips back. Now push your heels of your feet apart so it engages the sides of your glutes more. Arms out to sides. Let's do it this way. Just leave the arms out. Bend your chest up so your back body is now working more strongly. Keep your front of your thighs out of this by pushing your heels apart and trying to dig your heels backwards. So it's more in the back of your legs. Stand up. Great. Did anybody feel too much strain in the front of your thighs? You're okay? Okay. So keeping that more in your back, your glutes, the back of your legs. Let's give this a try. So watch for a moment and take my arms out. Watch me first. Come back. Then I'm going to spin around that chair and take this elbow around and the other arm up. Pull backs in a back bend. Here. Let's do it together. So chair, arms up here, so we get this whole back bend. Back body strong. Front is bending over. Now bend your knees and make chair pose. Lift your chest, kind of perk it up. Squeeze your shoulder blades toward your spine. Kind of emphasize that. Sit back in chair. Now let's take your left elbow across your right knee and your right arm up. That's it. Concave back. Lengthen from your tail to your head. And use the leverage of your arm to turn you. Come back around to the front, stand up. Other side. Chair with a twist. Sit back. Knees as much as you can behind your heels. Keep pushing your heels apart. Lift through your heart. And take your right elbow across. Your left knee. Press your leg and arm together. Use that as leverage to turn yourself around. Lift your tail. So this is more of a back arching, back bending. So see if you can lift up out of it a little more to get this curving concave back. Back up. Now we can try to put together some things with a arm balance on the side as a sort of just as a fun challenge. So this is moving toward Parsva Bakasana or side crow. So I'm going to show kind of on the mat here at an angle. Watch me first. So I'm going to give a quick version because we're not going to workshop this. Kind of a quick version. So take the chair, kind of like we had it here, and just watch. And this blocks over here. And I turn this hand here, and I'm going to turn. This might be where we're at, so you can work yourself here and watch just for a moment. I'm going to get this arm on the side of my leg. And then this block here. Once the arm is almost halfway down the leg, then I can try to keep this arch. So it changes the crow here a little more into more of a back bend, I think. And then watch this. Then you can take your other arm out over here and your feet walk over to the opposite way and you lift one foot up and maybe the other. Side crow. So it look like this from the other side. So the show. And you can kind of imagine. Block, block, block. I'm using this hand to move. And if you're watching the demo, you can see if you want to see the feet, or you can start to keep working that chair twist where you're watching. Here. And then I move the block and I move my hands down facing the same direction as my toes. Walk my feet over to the other direction and lift one foot up and maybe the other. So side crane. I'm gonna try it. So let's try that out one more time. You probably already tried one side. So one thing that's cool to do is everybody go to off your mat, so your left foot, I'll do the same side as you. The left foot is lined up parallel to your mat, but off your mat. Okay, make the chair and twist your right elbow around. Curve your back. Wedge that arm. Now if you're using the block, and that's what you're doing, that's what's going on. You have the block there. Here. Make sure your arm is halfway around your leg and twist, trying to keep your back concave. And then if you're taking another step to try this next version, you take your left arm out pretty far out, so you're going to be almost like plank arms out here. And your fingers and toes are all lined up facing the same direction. Then you walk your feet over to your right, and maybe just lift your left foot. And you're still twisting toward your left. Those are beautiful, my life people. All right, let's try the other side. So take your jump over or walk over. So your right foot's on the angle of your mat, adjacent to your mat, but off your mat. Chair, twist your left elbow around. And you can use the block over there on the outside, the block on the outside of your right foot. Your left hand goes over there. Twist. Once you use your leverage to take your left arm, has to be really wedged on your right leg. And then you squat down a little more, take your right hand out there on the mat. Your arms are shoulder distance. And your feet walk over to your left. And then lift up maybe just one foot. You're still twisting toward your right. Back down. And stand back up, please. All right. Now let's lie down on the floor on your back. I'm going to take that. Now it's time to do some back bends, and then a passive back bend to finish up. So bridge pose. So this is has a back bend quality, of course. Your whole spine bends up, and you're going to take bend your elbows, push your elbows down, lift your hips up. Walk your elbows underneath one at a time. So to get the back bend, it's more in your chest, so push your arms down, lift your chest. Press your arms down, lift your chest, and even lift your heels up, stretch out through your knees. If you have back pain, back off. Release the clasp of your hands and settle down through your hips. Good. And stretch your legs all the way out. Breathe into your belly. Good. Now please roll over to the side. I was just taking one bridge for today. And we're going to set up for headstand preparation. So interlace your fingers and put your elbows down, please. Let's release your head. Make your upper back, for now, more rounded. And this is kind of preparation toward other arm balances. So lift your knees up, walk your feet wide as your mat, and release your head. Press your elbows, your arms down, your forearms down, and try to keep lifting your shoulder blades away from your spine, your head. Take your knees back down. And now it's time for headstand or the same thing we just did, or head on the floor, or head off the floor. So your version of headstand might be turning your mat to the wall and crawling your feet up the wall. So you could have your knuckles all the way to the baseboard. Or if you do it in the middle of the room, be very careful. I'm going to here demonstrate as if the wall is at the edge of the mat. So you can also do the version we just did, which is practicing with your feet on the floor. So headstand preparation with head off the floor, or if you're walking in to head on the floor and your neck does not have any injuries, then you can take your knuckles to the wall, like this edge of the mat would be like the wall. And you walk in your head, your body, your feet, and then put your head down, keeping your shoulder blades up away from your ears. And walk in, and your feet would go to the wall. Hips to the wall. Shoulder blades up away from ears, and then you slide your heels up the wall. Take your headstand version you're doing, or you can take legs up the wall here. Once you're in headstand, reach through your inner feet, reach your inner thighs away from your head, the opposite direction. Reach higher through your inner feet. And low, reach down through your little toe side of your foot, the outer edge of your feet. Eventually come back down. You can also come down with straight legs, keeping your shoulder blades up away from your ears. Everybody make a miniature child pose, just releasing your neck. Have a neck releaser. And back up to hands and knees. We'll finish up this class with a back bend hip stretch combination. So it's moving toward two versions of Ekapada Raja Kapotasana. So have your blankets nearby and your blocks nearby. And then we'll take your mats up to this. So you're going to take a blanket under your right hip for pigeon pose. I have a pretty big one. Show it from the side. And I'm going to show on the opposite side so you can see. So your right hip. And then line up your hips so they're parallel to the front of your mat. Tuck your left toes under. Oops. Don't do this twist to get your blocks, but you could. So your blocks out in front. Yeah. So now pause there and notice this is a really big low back bend. So it's strengthening. Now hold in together between your hip points. Give a little squeeze there. But you're stretching the superficial areas up and over. So there's some control for safety, but there's still the stretch. So your hands down in the blocks, and now stretch the front of your body up. Pull your feet toward one another. That's big. Your back foot pulls toward your front foot, and your front foot pulls in. Pull your feet toward the long center of your mat. Pull to your middle. Hands back behind your head. Lift your chest up. Pull your elbows apart. Bend your chest up. Now come back down toward arms on the blocks, and keep your left hand on the block. Start to pick up your right hand on the block for you guys, and start to move your left hand behind you, hold the top of your foot. Press your foot back into your hand. Arms straight, and it's more of a bow. This is more toward press your foot back, that's it, arms straight, and make that tension of your foot pressing into your hand to stretch your left chest. Lift your chest up. Here, option to take your right arm behind your head, like Gomukhasana kind of. A one-arm Gomukhasana. Pressing back through your left foot. Keep everything square to the front. Lift your chest. Slowly come back down. And this time, crawl back to the other side. So take those blankets around to your outer left hip. So your left knee forward. And make sure your back stays safe. It's really better to have your hips, it's almost, I would say required for your hips to be square to the front. Your back knee back in line with your hip. Tuck your back toes under to make that left thigh spin in. And when you're there, squeeze across your core, lift and bend your chest. Hands on the blocks. Now you can always stay down here if your back's bothering you or anything in your pelvis is bothering you. Keep your right, let's see, what hand are we on? Just keep your left hand down and pick up your right leg, it's my opposite, and your right hand to your outer foot. Push your foot into your hand, stretch your right chest. Big back bend. So this last movement of our spine, back bending, opening, bowing from the strength you've created in your spine, essentially in yourself. You now have capacity to open, even soften through your front, your heart. Hopefully we've deepened that capacity, cause softening. As you remember your strength, you can soften and stretch even more. And come back down. And switch sides, because this one is so efficient. We're going to take it one more time, and then basically Shavasana. So this time we'll add on the forward fold and stretch at the end, which is going to be just nice. So your right knee forward. And I would say some of you that are a little more back bendy and you want to go with it, you can take the loop, a little loose loop, around the back of your left foot to start off with. So you can play with some forms of Ekapada, Rajakapotasana, or king, pigeon. I'm going to call her queen today. So walk that leg in, the strap's there for your use. Lift, stretch. Make sure your right knee is at least as wide as your hip. And the same thing, so your right hand out there on the floor or the block. Left hand to left foot, or you could use your strap. Press your left hand onto the top of your foot. Stretch your left chest. Lift your chest up. Stretch your belly. Let it open. Let your belly stretch. And you can trust. It's okay to feel a little strength in your back. Here, you can move the strap up above your head. This is an option. Up here. Yeah. Balancing, because you have that blanket or block under your right hip. Now walk the strap, your hands down the strap, and your elbows stay up. And eventually you can lean your hands back behind your skull, elbows stay up, elbows stay in and up. Vertical. Elbows in and pointing up. And then bend your head back onto your hands. Press your skull onto the base of your thumbs to help your chin will lift, your chest is lifting. And some of you will like a more simple version of this. You keep your right hand behind your head and your left elbow goes around your left foot. And this is, sometimes people think this is a little more simple. You capture your left foot with your left elbow, and then you can hook your hands. They call this mermaid. And release back down. Okay, we're waking up now. And last one of the day. You know what, we'll do the forward fold after both the back bends, how about? So do what you can. So your left hip, it's time for your left side. As you step forward, and you might like to take that strap around the top of your right foot. We'll go back to a forward fold and hip stretch after this side of the back bend. So we can get this back bend and have a really nice treat. So then Shavasana. So walk, rotate your left hip in, your right hip for you guys. And you have this, I think it's nice to have something under your left hip so you have, it's a little easier to balance. If your hip is very open, I think one of my live members will like to have your shin a little more forward because your hip is a little more flexible. You might have a little more balance that way even with your shin and foot. And your arms out in front. Here, this might be good, right here. And some of you actually want to give another option as you do this later. You're going to get the recorded version. You could skip the back bends and come down and just pull into a thigh stretch and come down here. So you can add that on. I'm going to pull up to the back bend. This time, first I'm going to do the mermaid. My elbow's inside, or my foot's hooked in my elbow. And I move this block over to the outside of the hip to help me lift up. Then put the other arm up here. I'm feeling a really big stretch in the front of my thigh too. Come up here. Or you can kind of stay up there, get the strap. Lots of fun options. Arms up, chest up. This is why we did headstand, by the way. So you walk your hands down and you keep your elbows in and then lean back. And if anybody wants to try to get your foot, you can go for it. I'm not going to show it here. I'm really working my lumbar stabilizers to protect my back, but I feel my back. Ekapada Raja Kapotasana. Back down. All right. And now let's kind of get out of that situation, and we'll take sitting forward fold again and a hip stretch. So I would suggest to finish up, we sit down on the floor level and take a loose blanket under the ankles. This is going to be probably the most passive one of today. So we find the morning practice is a little better. Usually we have found to be a little more active because we get too passive in the yoga poses. We're still sort of sleepy. So here, this active yoga practice, we can start to create this one posture that's a little more passive. So take your left leg out in front. Make sure your feet are very much in dorsiflexion, like they're in flexion. Your top of your foot is at a right angle with your shin. Keep pressing your outer foot down. That's important. That's why I say it a lot, because it keeps your ankles safe. And then I like to bunch up the blankets underneath my ankles to keep that. And then start to lean forward. So the only action is your outer feet pressing and a little lift in your belly. And then you've got a back stretch and of course a hip stretch. You can pause out there halfway where you start to feel your outer hips. Pause. Lift your belly a little bit. And maybe for you, you have a block nearby. You may like to have your head on the block. Soften your shoulders and let the stretch passively release your back and your outer hips. Reach your outer hips down. Notice your breath through your nostrils. Good, let's come back up. And switch sides, please. Take your right leg out in front. And then bunch the blankets up. So I'd like this, your shins to be more parallel and your knees lined up. Yeah, and that's kind of it's called Sukhasana. And start to walk out. And you may like to stack the blocks up like I'm doing. My back's already released quite a bit, so I'm going to go a little more forward. But then you may also like to lean over to one side to help your back stretch on certain parts of your low back. And also you get a little more hip stretch on that side. I would say take a few moments on that if you're going over to the side. And I would recommend not getting too twisted because we want to kind of get more released here and not back into a twist. But just a little lateral slide can sometimes help you get into your hips. Some of you are much more open in your hips than I am, and you may benefit from doing these last poses with your ankle all the way on your thigh, like this, more toward this, like this. And then you can still lean forward. There, wonderful. Keep your foot really in what's called dorsiflexion, so it's not as pointed. So it keeps your knee safe because it doesn't overly, and your ankle safe mostly. Yeah, so if you notice your foot is just stretching out, then really work it like you have a shoe or boot on, more like a boot. Okay. Now let's come back up and we'll take a simple seat for a moment of meditation before Shavasana. So I would go with 2 blankets to stack them in that seated meditation style. You could take 3. When I'm meditating for 45 minutes, I'll switch around the blankets and I'll start with 3. So here I have 2, because I'm going to just open it up to, if it works for your knees, I'm just going to invite you all to take this form of sitting where your feet are more crossed in front, and you lean forward still, you get your posture, that's it. And then just slide around your seat, just slowly, so you can feel some generally, you're even on your sitting bones. Lift up through your sides. Turn your palms open. Now please take your right thumb, you're going to see the mirror here, your right thumb to your right nostril, and just breathe through your left. 2 rounds of alternate nostril, exhaling through your left nostril. Inhaling deeply and fully from your belly to your chest, skull. Close, exhaling, close your left nostril and exhale out through your right. Keep the lift of your chest. Inhaling, the right side's open. Breathe through your whole body, big and slow. Tongue relaxes, eyes relax with your inhale. Switch, close your right nostril, exhale slowly through the left side. open your belly. Take one more round at your own pace. Eventually take your palms down on your lap. Line up your posture, your head right over your pelvis. Close your eyes and soften, release your face. Hold your posture strongly and steadily from the inside of your body. As you identify with this imagined yet felt vertical line called the Sushumna in yoga philosophy and physical practices. So as you enjoy your normal stream of breath flow through your nostrils, into the region behind your sternum, we call, or the yoga traditions call the heart. In the inside of your abdominal pelvic region. Keep your posture, but soften what you can. So the right amount of steady structure and some softening through the edges. Your edges. As you enjoy your breath and gently focus your attention on that breath with a reverence and devotional quality, like it's love itself, tenderness, streaming in through your nostrils, blessing you, tenderly touching you as light, love itself. Keep that as a key practice as we take another few moments to then move that energy of incoming light vertically through your body, a very classic yoga practice. So just if you lose this next stage of guided meditation, just come back to breath awareness, gently through your nostrils, letting all the thoughts for now release, and just release gently, lovingly, with steadiness, commitment to the practice of meditation, and to a kind and almost welcoming, kind of delightful way. Now, imagine the inhale takes light in from above you, down through your skull, into your seat. And with the inhale, your breath is natural, but you can imagine that your pelvis kind of presses into the floor with the inhale. And you can exhale, renewing light rises right up through your center, through your skull and out. You may even like to imagine you could see down from inside your skull, you could see down this sweet corridor, like this imagined tunnel down the center of your body, down vertically. Grounding that into the earth and allowing the breath flow to, allowing your imagination and thought process meditation to be a vertical breath, it's called. Down this channel with your inhale, gently, and a pulsation back up with the exhale. One way to get a simple version of that is just feel your pelvis with the inhale. Feel your seat with the inhale. And feel into your skull with the exhale. And deepen your breath. We'll finish this brief meditation, which you can return to for 5 to 20 minutes. For now, we'll come back to Shavasana to finish up in relaxation. Just set up using the props you need, and I welcome the one under your head, like a blanket and an eye bag over your eyes, or you could take a blanket, a loose one, and put it over your eyes, and lie back for Shavasana. If your back's a little stiff, you could also roll up a blanket under your knees. Like that. Tuck your shoulders underneath and relax. I'm going to not use that because for me it makes my back flatten out a little much. And I'm going to have this one for now over my eyes. And if you do, make sure it's kind of loose. It's not too heavy over your eyes so you can breathe. And when I have one that kind of flings over my eyes, I'll sometimes tuck it over my ears. It just is kind of cool to cut off that sound also. It's actually a yoga practice. And once you set up, your spine feels good, your back feels good, there's no pain. Then relax your limbs completely. Release your back, your head. And find your center. Find some symmetry. So some people like to look between your feet to get symmetrical. And then just release after you get situated. Release the weight of your feet and hands, your limbs, your spine, your head. All the face muscles and eye muscles you can release. Let them go. welcome you to stay in Shavasana if you have time, or meditate longer. Those of you that are finishing now, we're going to gently come up and roll your ankles and your wrists first as you roll to the side and make your way back up to sitting. Take your time to enter into that transition period that you can incorporate your yoga practice and that inner connection we've made throughout your day, so you can inform your day's actions and just your inner feeling of peace through even this gradual transition. It helps preserve some of that, and it makes that I think more accessible for a lot of us, our experience. So we'll come up and let's all take our hands together, please, or unless you're still in Shavasana. And bow to that experience of light, like a candle-like flame of brilliance within you. It's said to be lit and held, maintained its energy and light through a source that we all share and is the same, has a similarity and yet uniqueness. So bowing to both that light that holds us all and to your unique light. May this practice not only benefit ourselves, but all beings. I bow to each of you with love and appreciation. Namaste. Okay. Thank you all. I love you each. Thank you so much. Enjoy your day. And feel free to hang out, chat if you want to.